everybody work. Yeah, I would really like to welcome you to IITA, and I hope you enjoy our facilities and our environment, the campus. You're welcome. And our colleagues are all here. If there are any, special requirements that we can provide, while you're here in IITA, do please let us know. With that, again, I would like to say welcome, and I hope you enjoy and have a very productive meeting. Thank you.
People should clap for her. She's my girl, so that she renew my contract. Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, I would like to recognize those that are not present here physically with us, but are joining us online. We have Professor Thomas Ramos from Portugal. We also have Miss A.K. Nijman from the African Leadership University in Rwanda, and Dr. Xin Lui from Resources, Environment and Sustainability. I think, okay, that's a journal, but from the Nanjing University in China. Now, I don't know if Dr. Manyong is ready. He's supposed to join us for the keynote address by 10:30, but he's not ready yet. So he's not online yet, so we can call on those that are present. Okay. I would like to call on Professor Olushola Ladokun for her remarks. A round of applause for her, please.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm standing here on behalf of my chairman of council, who is unavoidably absent. I'm honored and privileged to welcome you all to the 4th Circularity Africa Conference 2023. This year, we have gathered to discuss and explore the theme of enhancing sustainable management of food waste and food loss in Africa. As we all know, food waste and loss have been significant challenges in Africa and globally. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, about 1/3 of all global food is lost or wasted yearly, amounting to approximately 1.3 billion tons. This is an alarming statistics, particularly in a world where hunger and malnutrition persist. According to the World Bank, Nigeria loses and wastes 40% of its total food production each year. This loss accounts for 31% of the country's total land use and accounts for 5% of its greenhouse gas emissions. Food waste and loss is a large and increasing problem that is particularly acute in developing countries like Nigeria, where food loss reduces income by at least 15% for the 470 million smallholder farmers and downstream value chain actors, most of whom are a part of the 1.2 billion who are food insecure. The situation is particularly dire in Africa, where an estimated 250 million people are undernourished. Food loss and food waste exacerbates this problem and have significant economic and environmental consequences. For Africa, these challenges represent an opportunity for action and innovation. I'm excited to see that we have diverse experts from across the continent and beyond who have come together to share knowledge, ideas, and best practices for tackling this challenge. I believe over the next few days, we will hear from experts who have developed innovative solutions and who will share their experiences on improving food supply chain efficiency, reducing food waste and losses, and creating a more sustainable future. We will learn how governments, businesses, and communities can work together to enhance food security, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and address climate change. We'll also be able to hear from entrepreneurs who have created new business models, prioritizing waste reduction and recycling. I hope that by the end of this conference, we will better understand how to enhance sustainable management of food waste and food loss in Africa. We'll also have formed new connections and partnerships that will enable us to work together toward a more sustainable and prosperous future. Finally, I would like to express my deep appreciation to the organizers and sponsors of this conference for their hard work in putting together this event. I would also like to thank all participants for taking the time to join us today. Let us work together to make this conference a success and to create a bright future for Africa and the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ladeku. A round of applause for her again, please. Next, I will invite Professor Oyerunke Odonla for her welcome remarks. A round of applause for her.
The dignitaries here seated, the dignitaries who have joined us online, and their participants. On behalf of the president of Image Initiative, Ambassador Ademola Onofowokan, I wish to welcome everyone to the 4th Circularity Conference. And I want to say that you are lucky to be here today. And in the next few days, where we look at the issue of food availability, food usage, food waste, and food loss. I believe by the end of tomorrow, we'll be able to see, especially for us in sub-Saharan Africa, the importance of no waste in our survival. Welcome once again and enjoy the conference.
That was a very brief one. A round of applause for her again. I missed one important name, the Minister of Agriculture for Burkina Faso, Honorable Dr. Dennis Quadrago. He's joining us virtually, but a round of applause for him as well. Thank you. I will call on, okay. I would like to call on Dr. Ebenezer Ajayi. A round of applause for him.
A very good morning to everyone standing on existing protocols. I'm glad to be a part of this Circularity Conference again this year, the 4th in the series. I want to greet all the dignitaries present here and everyone who has been joining us in this journey of Circularity Conference since the beginning, and those who joined along the line, and those who will still join. Greetings to everyone who has joined virtually this morning, and everyone that has made it possible, made themselves available physically. Today's the first day in the Circularity Africa Conference, the 4th in the series, like I said, and we are looking at enhancing sustainable management of food waste and food loss in Africa. That gives us an idea, maybe we are already doing well in food production, first of all, before we talk about food waste and food loss. But then maybe you are not doing very well already. That means that one reason why you are here, probably as an enthusiast or as a practitioner, will mean that you have interest in food production. I love food. I don't know how many people love food. Well, as we are here, I used to tell people that we are a whole bunch of foods. We look differently, yes, but if we try to estray us, maybe you will see different parts of food classes. And then we are what we eat. But maybe we go a little further to say beyond what we eat, we are what we absorb. So if your intestines refuse to absorb the nutrients in the food that you have masticated, then probably you won't be here. Or probably to give you some allergies, and then you have a running stomach. And some allergies can be so detrimental that can lead to death. So I think we will enjoy our days here. And thanks to ITA for hosting us again this time. Last time, I think we only had a short visit, like picnic here. But to this time around, they are hosting us for the days of this conference. So food production is very, very important, but there are many things we throw away when we make food. There are many factors affecting the transport of the food we have not provided enough of. Still, we don't get them to the people who really need this food. So we produce what is not sufficient, yet we waste a lot of what is not sufficient already. But I think with this conference, we hope that every one of us will go away with probably one thing: plant a garden. If you have not done so already, provide your own food, encourage organically provided food. So I want to welcome you as a member of the LOC, and I hope that we have a wonderful time. I'm happy that young people are here to start them young. Many of them run away from the farms or anything related to food production because they join it to what is poverty. But if you don't have food in your belly, you cannot stay in school. And I want to speak from the angle of the African Green Innovation School project, which I am directing under the Images Initiative, that please, we began with carbon footprint offset 2 days ago. Watch over those trees. And then in your own house, start a garden, even if it's in a pot. Let us make a commitment today. Then probably you may want to replace all your flowers with something edible. Tomato is a good flower. I hope you agree. It has red color. It has yellow flowers. I love the scent. Maybe some people don't love the scent of the leaf of tomato. Pepper and tomato are good flowers. So probably you may want to replace those flowers in your compound with vegetables and potato and fruits. And again, also put something in your living room. So there are a lot of things we will listen to as we go on. And I hope that maybe along the line, we will also see how to apply technology to food production, because that also we do under the African Robotics Artificial Intelligence Network. So I wish you a very wonderful time during this conference. Have a wonderful deliberation, network with people, and see how you can make what you're already doing better, or what you have been thinking about for many years. Get the push to start. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ajayi. The young people in the house, you have been told to go in search of your mommy's pots and pans and start planting. So if she asks you, please point to him or tell her to see him. Thank you very much, sir. A round of applause for him again. Okay, we would want to call on Miss AK Nijban virtually. She's online now. If she can hear us, can you please? Oh, okay, there she is. Good morning. So the floor is yours. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you now. I was muted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So first of all, yeah, I'm calling in from Rwanda. Not in Nigeria, but in Rwanda. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me and to give a few opening remarks for this very interesting event. And also very much thank you for organizing the event on the circular economy. Circular economy is still very much a topic that a lot of events, research, work is being needed. But yes. Can I go on?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, I think it was something. I thought someone said something. So it's very exciting to hear that this event is going on and that there's a venue for scholars, stakeholders, researchers to connect on the circular economy. Something that's very much needed. A lot of the documentation and research that exists on circular economy is coming from the global north and not so much from African countries, which makes this event very exciting and very important. Yeah, let me share a few words from my background, and then I would like to share also a few words on some work that I have been doing with Dr. Olegide, who invited me to speak today. So my name is Elke Nijman. So maybe I can quickly share my screen to share something with you. As I said, I am working with the African Leadership University, and we have a circular economy program. And our circular economy program has been focusing on integration, circular economy in the curriculum. So through education, integration of circular economy through private sector training, but also on entrepreneurship. So student entrepreneurship with a circular economy business model. The last part which I am responsible for is the circular economy research. So over the past year, last year, we had 11 different circular economy research projects in 4 different African countries, ranging on very different topics, from plastics to industrial symbiosis, to the utilization of agriculture byproducts such as coffee and tea waste, and also regenerative agriculture, which comes more to the topic of today. So once we were doing that, we were realizing there was a huge gap. There was a huge gap on circular economy if it comes from African countries. Therefore, we initiated a different initiative. So I hope you can see this on my screen right now. If not, I am going to put it in the chat box later on. But together with Professor Oyalere, we created a research topic on the circular economy with the goal to give a venue platform to circular economy researchers to submit their work and to make sure that circular economy will be documented in African countries. So currently our deadline is open until the 31st of August. It's with the Frontier journals. I hope you can see it. I can share it later on the link also in the chat box, and I'm sure we can make sure the link will come to you through the venue on the ground. But the idea is making sure that we document knowledge on the grounds and that we identify what gaps and other work needs to be done on the circular economy. Yeah, lots to do on this. Very much welcome you to participate. We have different researchers to be ready to support you in this process. So I think that was it on my end, and I really hope we get some more attention for this research topic and for this important work that needs to be done on the circular economy to move different African countries forward in the circular economy. So thank you so much, and for inviting me once again, and good luck with the event in Nigeria.
A round of applause for Ms. Mitchman. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so we can all search for the journal and read up on what circular economy is about and the progress made so far in Africa. A round of applause for her again. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Xin Liu from Nanjing University in China for his opening remarks. If he is online and can hear us, can he please Dr. Xin Liu, if you're online and you can hear us, can you please indicate? You have to unmute yourself. Okay, so the co-host, can you please unmute him? Okay. David.
Okay, hi. Can you
All right.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I'm Xin Liu from Nanjing University,
Can you
China.
Can you please hold on, please? Snitchman, can you please? Okay, thank you. So the floor is yours, Liu.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me and for this great opportunity to deliver a goodwill message at this conference. My name is Xin Liu. I'm a research scientist in Nanjing University in China. My research mainly focuses on the nutrient management and the environmental impacts of food production and the consumption system. Currently, I also serve as managing editor of IES journal, Resources, Environment, and Sustainability. It is a peer-reviewed open access journal from Elsevier. IES journal aims at publishing high-quality original research from a broad range of natural, social, and engineering fields. The publications emphasize sustainable resource utilization, associated environmental stress, and the potential solutions to achieve resource and environmental sustainability. Today, IES has been 3 years old, still pretty young, but it has already been indexed in over 16 international databases, including Scopus and the EI Companion, etc. In the past 3 years, we have published over 100 research papers with authors from more than 40 countries around the world. There has been a lot of papers on IES about food sustainability and food waste management. Last year, IES also organized a virtual special issue on the topic of food sustainability. So in the future, hopefully you will find IES journal as an appropriate place to publish your high quality papers. We sincerely thank this conference for the constant support to IES journal. So I attended last year's conference as well. I wish you a successful and rewarding conference this year. Thanks for listening.
A round of applause. Thank you very much, Dr. Xin Liu. Okay, 100 journals in the last 3 years. That's a lot of work is going on with circular economy. Obviously, we mean business. Next, if Professor Ramos is online, can he please indicate? Okay, so he hasn't joined us. When he does, we'll call on him. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Olajide to announce the first keynote speaker, Dr. Manyong. A round of applause for him.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning this evening. Can you say good morning to your neighbor, please? Yeah, ask what's the name. What is your name? Ask. You must get a feedback. Did you get a feedback? Did you get a feedback? If you are meeting the person for the first time, take the name, take the institutional name, and research areas and things, okay? Because we're here to we're here to collaborate in the space of circular economy. So we need one another in terms of research and publication opportunities that you may have. We have introduced to you earlier today by goodwill messages at least 3 contacts to journals. We have introduced to you Frontiers in Sustainability. We have introduced to you SBI journals. No, my phone is not here. We have introduced to you different journals today, SBI journals and one in Frontiers. So we want to take the opportunities. Those of you were asking how you can submit your full paper to the conference. So go to the journal website and in the submission, say that you are associated with this conference. So they will give you preference and things like that. So much about that. So on behalf of Pages, I'd like to welcome all of us to this conference. It's the 4th edition, and we appreciate that you are here. The person I'll be introducing shortly is somebody that's so dear to me. We got elected in year 2004, about November, December, but much more from 2005. And while I was here at the IT, was the head of the socio-economic lab, principally made of agricultural economics that are research fellows here. That's the person of Dr. Victor Mayo. I got to know him through my boss, Professor Ikwi. Maybe he's online now. Will also be joining us for this conference. But it's a real privilege to introduce Dr. Victor Mayo. He's now an emeritus director based in Tanzania, and he will be giving the first keynote address today. Dr. Victor Mayo, if you are ready, I don't want to waste your time further. We have already taken 10 minutes of your time already. I know you have a lot to tell us. So after the presentation, you will have opportunity to ask questions. Emeritus Director, good morning. You are welcome. Take your presentation now. Do you want us to present from here or you share your screen, sir?
Thank you very much, Dr. Wale. I hope you can see my face. And thank you very much for that nice introduction. As a matter of fact, we have met, you and myself and many other colleagues, many years back at the time I was still based in Nigeria. So I'm very glad to be part of this important meeting and to speak about a topic that is also very close to my heart. Yes, I have prepared my PowerPoint. I'm trying to see how I can project it from here. In this Zoom, I don't see where I can share the PowerPoint slide. I'm very conversant with the teams to present it, but in this one,
if you cannot find it, we can project from my end, just that it will slow down the presentation and you have to be saying next slide, next slide.
Exactly,
Under this, maybe you'll be able to see share screen. You can see. Yeah, I put more copies from that one. Okay. Emeritus Director, I guess you are okay now. You can proceed, sir.
Yes, I hope you are seeing my screen now. Can you answer me, please, if you are hearing me? Do you see my screen? Yeah. Okay. So I have chosen to this title, myself and my colleague, who are co-author of this presentation, and which we have titled Rethinking the Current Food System Model, Transitioning to Circular Economy for Enhanced Management in Food, for Waste and Food Loss in Africa. So you have already briefly introduced me. I'm Victor Magnon. I'm Emeritus Director at IITA. And the co-author of this keynote address are Dr. Shifao Feleke, who is also an agri-economist based in Tanzania at IITA. Dr. Russo Juka, who is an expert on biocircular economy, especially on using the BSF. And Dr. Tahiru Abdullahi, who is an agri-economist, the director at IITA for the Sahel region, and who is currently the head of the social science and agribusiness group, the position that I had occupied many years while I was both in Tanzania, in Nigeria, and when I was also relocated to Tanzania. So I'm now emeritus director, but I continue to work as a consultant to IITA. Dr. Wale, thank you very much for remembering me the good time I spent with Professor Ikpi, my colleague and friend. I hope he is online now and listening to me. So what I would like to do during the time you have allocated to me is, first of all, quickly to say, give a small background on food waste and loss, talk about linear economic model and food waste and loss, why we need to transition to circular economy, how can it help to enhance the management of food waste and loss, and I will end up by showing some example of circular economy at IITA and how it has contributed to address the issue of either food waste or loss. I am glad that the previous speakers, they have already mentioned the importance of circular economy. I think I will just emphasize that this is probably the way forward if we want to manage sustainably the food waste and losses. So let me start with the background first. If you go through the literature, you will find out that there is enough in the world, but more, a part of loss or waste, and the economic cost of that loss is quite important, reaching about 3 trillion of US dollars. The two-thirds of it is coming from the high-income countries and about 1/3 from the low-income countries. In sub-Saharan Africa, we are losing about 4 billion of food, who is basically, that corresponds mostly to about 15% of what we are producing annually in cereal production. So it is an important loss. But let us just get the things right from the beginning. When we are talking about food waste, we are talking about food that is of good quality and fit for human consumption, but does not get consumed because it is discarded. According to Lipsky, I think we adopt this definition. In contrast, food loss is not that it is wasted, but it is an unintended loss in quantity of food during harvesting, post-harvest handling, processing, distribution, and marketing. That is the quantitative part of food loss. But food loss also could represent a loss in quality of product occurring due to inefficiency in the food supply chain. Both quantitative or qualitative type of food loss leads to the same food loss. You cannot use that food. If you go again to the literature, you will see that in the context of Africa, food loss is more relevant than food waste. But when we are saying it is more relevant than food waste, it does not mean that there is no food waste in Africa. It is also an issue that we need to be looking at. Food is a product. Like any other product, it requires the use of raw material to produce it. And part of it, it is discarded or unused. That is what is generating the waste. Maybe only small part of it, little is unused or discarded food is recycled. So that system, that model to the utilization of resources to generate product is referred to as a linear economy. So the linear economy model, that is a predominant model up to now, is a profit-oriented business model which sources raw material from ecological reserves. As a profit-oriented model, this linear approach is geared toward increasing output and sale. So it assumes that you have infinite biocapacity. There is no limit to the use of natural resources. So you take it, you process it, and you use it, and then you discard all the other byproducts, or you waste part of it. Assuming that the natural resources are still there, you can go back. So, but this linear model has been operating for hundreds of years. And it has been at the basis of the current material wealth creation. We know now that the global GDP, global domestic product, has quadrupled since 1970, reaching about 100 trillion in 2020, according to World Economic Forum. And that model has really facilitated immense progress, lifting billions of people out of poverty. Although we know that in reality, that has not been happening everywhere. There are continents, there are regions, there are countries where poverty is still ramping. But still, the linear model is the one that is predominating now. So it is a material intensive model. And the World Economic Forum, again, estimates that more than 100 billion tons of resources enter the global economy every year. So we know from the emerging trend in the demographic or economic growth or any other trend that this annual global material extraction is projected to double by 2015, reaching about 183 billion tons of extraction. Yes, on the renewable resource sizes, the demand by the annual demand by humanity in natural systems is now exceeding what the heart is able to regenerate in a year. And we know this information since the 1970s. It is referred to as ecological overshoot. So, and this ecological overshoot has continued to grow over the years, reaching a 50% deficit in 2008, according to the expert, which means that it takes 1.5 years for the earth to regenerate the renewable resources that we use and to absorb the CO2 waste we produce in that same year. If we can't change this trajectory, if we can't change the way we use our natural resources, it is possible that we will eventually run out of resources. So this ecological overshoots, along with the historical and present extraction and processing of natural resources, has resulted in many negative externalities. Among them, we have 50% of greenhouse gas emissions, loss of biodiversity, and water stress. So the current economic system is a disaster for the Earth ecosystem. We need, and it is critical that we need to rethink the current model and look for an economic system that focuses on raising resource productivity. Food waste and loss that is at the center of this conference is not just an economic loss as a product, it also increases the burden on natural resources such as land, water, and energy. And FAO estimated that land use for food production that is never used for human consumption represents 28% of global agricultural land. Our food system generates considerable amount of greenhouse gas emission contributing to climate change. That's why the world community has put as one of the targets of the UN Sustainable Development Goal, which is the UN SDG 12, call for reducing food loss in the early stages of the food supply chain and halving food waste in the retail and consumption phases by 2030. If we take example of the negative impact of food waste and loss to Africa, and you move around in many urban cities in Africa, you will find out they are plagued with a lot of municipal solid waste management challenges. I'm making this presentation from Kinshasa. This city alone is generating about 2.8 million tons of solid waste annually. A large share of that generated waste is organic, such as decomposing material like vegetable food market coming from slaughtering houses. And most of these organic wastes are not properly managed, thus posing health problems. With the trajectory of economic growth, rapid population growth, and urbanization, the challenge is expected to persist and intensify. Just choose to show you those pictures that you are used to when you move around many cities in Africa, including Ibadan, where you are holding your meeting now. And this is, you find it everywhere and everywhere, big cities, small cities in Africa. And if we look at how the urban cities will grow in the future, this is a projection from the UN populations. And I have extracted the cities that will be the 20 largest populated cities in the world. Among those 20, 13 are from Africa. And number one will be Lagos in Nigeria. And number two is Kinshasa, where I am now, my own country. And if I use just my own country, our total population in DRC is about 85 million. This means that at the end of the century, Kinshasa alone will have the total population of this country. And we are already facing this problem of urban waste. We don't have capacities and model a system to deal with it. So the problem can only be increasing. So the circular economy is proposed as a promising alternative to the current resource wasteful linear model. And this circular economy enables green growth and green industrialization by working around three R principles: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce, make a minimum use of raw material when you are producing any output. Reuse, try to reuse product and components that can be reused. And the recycle, give value, reuse some of the raw material that should not be just throwing away. The circular economy is promoting the primacy of waste prevention. We need to prevent waste from being created in the first place. Design out your intervention in such a way that the negative impact of economic activity on human health and natural system is minimized. So the logic of the circular model is that by recycling and reusing waste extensively, the need for mining or extracting raw material is reduced, ultimately resulting in less environmental burden. Now, I am coming back to my institute that employed me for more than 25 years. ITA over the past years has implemented, we know, many project activities. We call them first in research activities, then we start tagging them as research for development activities. That we can say today that they are related to circularity. And if you take the publication of ITA 50 years, written during the celebration of ITA at 50 years old, you will find more stories than what I will be explaining to you very soon. But the concept, using the concept of biocircular economy is quite recent at IITA. It's from 2019 that we started consciously to start talking about biocircular economy. So in the next slide, I will present some example of IT experience dealing with the management of food waste and losses. But I've organized those slides around 3 ways biocircular economy can contribute to sustainable enhanced management of food waste and loss. The first way is produce food in a way that commonly wasted resources are sustainably used and recycled in agriculture. Second way is transform bioproduct into useful agricultural product. And the third way is improve transport and storage facilities to prevent food losses. That you will find in the literature. For this third way, I will insist very much on storage facilities to prevent food losses. Some example of way one, we know that ITA has been working around what we call 6 mandate crops. And one of those mandate crops is soybean. ITA has worked extensively on the nitrogen biological fixation program in grain legume that has high capacity to fix nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen in soil, and reduce the amount of chemical fertilizer needed for subsequent crop in rotation. I hope Dr. Dashil is present, because for many years he has been our principal scientist leading the soybean breeding program. Another example is on cereal production. ITA for many years has worked on the program they call nutrient use efficiency. This means how to produce maize in environment by improving the efficiency in the utilization of nutrient, nitrogen, water, etc. And today, when you move to the northern part of Nigeria, you cross the border, you go to Niger Republic. At the end of last year, I was in Mali, southern part of Mali, a region that I have visited when I was a young postdoc in the 1990s. I went back there, I was quite amazed to see how maize has expanded in this environment. Sorry, Give me 1 minute to take some water. So sorry about that. I should have brought my bottle of water closer to me. And today I was quite amazed on how during what they call the hivernage, people were pushing already harvesting fresh maize. In the past, it was the area where you find mostly sorghum. The other area where IIT has worked extensively is to use organic fertilizer for made from waste recycling between rural and urban nexus. We have had many projects on urban agriculture dealing with those issues. I seem to be going backward. Okay, here I am. A few examples that I will show on the way to how to use the byproduct. We were at Ibadan, IITA and Dillery develop what they call high quality cassava peels. If you go in many cassava processing centers in Nigeria and elsewhere in the world, you'll find a ton and ton of cassava peels. And often people put fire to it, or they will be just rotting. So this technology of processing cassava into high quality cassava peels presents a lot of opportunities to reduce the environmental burden, what we've seen in many places, but also to provide raw material for animal feed. Instead of using maize as a source of energy, you can use then cassava peels. The other example, which I will extend a bit later on, it is to use insect as animal feed so that it can replace the traditional fish meals or soybean meals, the fish meals coming from aquatic resources. And the frask in processing black soldier fly larvae, we can use it as organic input. Two examples on the third way IIT has been working on activities that we can today affiliated to circularity is to protect food that is already produced. Dr. Abbas, my colleague expert on post-harvest, has worked extensively in this area, showing that food that is produced on maize is lost for between 35 and 60% when it gets to storage. So this technology's triple layer bag help to protect not only the food production, but also even the seed that you protect. Another area where IIT has worked is to use the biotechnological tools, gene silencing specifically, to improve cassava shelf life. Nigeria has made a steady progress in cassava production, the country has become the world #1 producer of cassava. But we know the limitation of cassava after harvest. You need to process it very quickly, otherwise you start losing the quality. So through biotechnology, they found out the gene that can reduce or delay to enhance the shelf life of cassava. So now I would like, as one last example, very recent example at IITA is a new project which I like very much, in which we are working now. That is titled Chicken, Fish, and Pig feed and organic fertilizer value chain development using black soldiers-based product and by waste processing. This project is implemented in 4 countries: DRC, Ghana, Mali, and Nigeria. It is funded by NORAD for 3 years, 4 years. DRC has joined a bit later. And we have an acronym on this project we call ITA Be Best. This project is addressing the issue that I already mentioned about massive accumulation of urban waste, causing environment and health challenges to both human and ecosystems. And the waste we are talking about here is, of course, household waste, but also the byproducts that you find from the vegetable market, or when agricultural products are peels, or banana peels, which represent the ton and ton of waste or byproduct. So the overall goal of this project is to improve livelihood of animal feed and organic fertilizer value chain actor, improve urban and environmental sanitation and climate change mitigation. But really, we are very modest in this project because we are not ambitious, or we cannot say that we have enough resources to clean the environment in the urban cities of those 4 countries. So the tactical objective really is to develop prototype business model for stakeholders to invest in urban sanitation and enterprises. If you go to developed countries, the urban waste are managed basically by the municipality. This is the same model that the African countries are trying to follow. But the African countries don't have enough resources to sustain this type of model. But we want to approach this problem through a business angle. Let the stakeholders take over the issue and try to solve it by making it a business. Where there is a problem, the problem can be turned into an opportunity. This is what we are trying to develop as a model in this project. So it is based on the use of the black soldier fly that will put their egg on organic waste, and the larva will start eating the organic waste. And after that, the larvae are harvested, processed to produce animal feed, while the frask that remain there can be used as organic fertilizer. And we have targeted 3 value chain, chicken and fish in West Africa, the same chicken and fish in DRC, but for DRC, we have added pigs just for cultural reasons. We know from literature that you can use also the larvae to produce oil. But this is not an objective in this project. So this initiative by Dr. Russo Juka, who is based in Benin and now in Cotonou, we've tested pilot of them in many places in the continent. But now IT has reached the level where we started asking ourselves, how can we scale out the pilot operation? What should be the best business model for scaling out? Is it possible to improve the efficiency of the model? And very important, we need capacity building. If we want this type of approach to be scaled out, you need also to capacitate not only people, but also institutions and government methods. So this project, as I said, is targeting 3 countries, but 5 cities, 2 cities in DRC, Kinshasa and Bukavu, 1 in Ghana, Accra, Bamako in Mali, and Niger, and Niamey in Niger. So the project is trying to develop two models based on the pilot phase that we have been conducting in many countries, is to have what we call a treatment facilities, a fixed treatment facilities. And you can see on the slide here, the construction that is going on in Ghana, where you have the adulterium and the cloak rooms. It requires an area for about 1 to 1.5 hectares to put all the facilities. And on the table there, I put some of the expected output, the number of facilities we have, the quantity of bio-waste that will be processed, the quantity of BSF larvae that will be produced, and the quantity of BSF frass that will also be produced as organic fertilizer. The cost will vary around this amount, depending on the countries and the local prices where it will be constructed in DRC, Mali, Niger, or so it involves the people who have to build, the institution or the firm that have to build, the material for the building, and also we have decided that we will use only solar energy as a source of power. If we want to go green, then we want to go fully green. And that is what constitutes the cost. But we have also another much more smaller model, which costs very lower than that one, 18,000. And here it shows a model that is being constructed again in Ghana. So, but how does it work? We started pilot. I wanted just quickly to go over a few slides on the pilot to give you an idea on how it will be done in the new site that we are developing the project. So it requires model one, a fixed BSF fixed unit. And you see here it was really pilot. You see a lot of dark point here. Those are the BSF the flies that need to maintain every day. And you have colleagues here who are inside that site. And you need to collect bio-waste, sort them, and process them. Yeah, pre-treatment of bio-waste is just to use the same equipment that's the one we are using to process sometimes cassava. And that small unit at the pilot level, it could treat 1 ton of waste every week. And you have a match, start training, and then you use that match to put in this small basin where the BSF the flies, will go and lay down their larvae. And the larvae start feeding on the bio-waste. And after a few days, we collect them, you put them here and start separating BSA larvae from the feeding substrate. This is what this technician is doing here. As you see, as when we started pilot, it is quite manual or rudimentary, as you can see, but it's the principle that we're working on. And at the end, then you have collected your larvae, and you can produce at that pilot, we're producing about half a ton of larvae every 2 weeks. And then you will move the larvae to a drying unit where you start processing animal feed. You are using an electric dryer here. As I told you, we were able to convince the donor, the current donor, that we wanted to go fully green. The source of power in the new project will be solar panel, and that you dry them, and then you can transform them on pellets, pelleted animal feed. It depends on the size of the pellet that you want to produce. And then the frass also, you collect them, you process them, and then both the pelleted, you seal them, package them, and then you can move them around. So the model 2 at the pilot that has inspired what we are doing now was a portable and dismountable BSF reading kit. Very simple to construct. As you can see, you can have it at the back of your house. A student or who is in the school can start processing this and sell a larvae and get some money for school fees. It's quite very practical. And in this project, we are planning to work with many youth, to train many youth. And also the women who are using organic fertilizer in vegetable production. So this type of model is also something that can apply. So in conclusion to my old presentation, I would say that this example of the project that I've just described now on best, if we can multiply this type of studies or projects, it could help us to transition toward the circular economy. We need, as I demonstrated, that we cannot continue in the same behavior. We need to adopt a low waste lifestyle. Let us not exaggerate on what we are eating. Let us reuse some of the container or material we are using, not plastic, bottled water. Let us protect the little of food we are producing. Let us not lose it. We need to change the behavior sitting in the house, starting in our household. We need to start making conscious everyone of the need to be sorting the household waste at home between organic and non-organic. And this needs to be taught even to school children in their curriculum. As I have explained already, the bioproducts are not waste, are resources that can be recycled. Again, I'm coming back on this capacity building for young generation. In this project, really, at the end of the project, we want a group of youth, we call them youth agripreneurs, who will take over the management of these facilities. And this is what we have promised to the municipalities, but also to the donor. What we need is to promote the green economy wherever we can, and sustainable use of resources. In summary, we need to rethink the way we produce, process, distribute, consume food, energy, and other resources, because we will not continue to have enough from the natural systems, that is, for which we are already exceeding the capacity of the earth to regenerate every year. That is what I wanted, or myself and my colleague co-author wanted to present to you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for Dr. Wale for the opportunity you have given us to make this keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause again for Emeritus Director Victor M. Mayong. You know, when I was there, we used to call him, of course, his name is Mayong. He always looks very young. And when, he finished his PhD in the 80s. So he's over 70 and he's still looking very young. Please, let's clap again for him. In one of his photos on his WhatsApp platform, he has a photo of his grandpa, his father, himself, his son, and his grandchild. So it's somebody that I've seen that has that for at least 4 generations. Let's clap again for him for good life. It's living, and it's, in fact, is a motivator and a mentor to most of us. Thank you again, Dr. Mayong, for this. And We are short of words, but we just need to ask you some questions. I'll start from my end. In the countries you are currently working, you stated about 4 or 5 of them. I'm surprised that I didn't see Nigeria on the list. The reason being that we know that population is correlated with waste. So if Nigeria has the highest population in the continent, we know that it also generates the highest waste in the continent. And if you take our city, Ibadan, at some point was notorious for being the, what? Filling the gap. So we have a lot of waste in the Ibadan, in Nigeria. So we want to propose as a network. We want to work with IIT. That's one of the reasons for this conference. We want to set up a research team that we call Circular Economy Research Team for Nigeria and for other parts of the continent. Would you like to support us in this, yes or yes? You are not the one I'm asking. Dr. Mayong, please, that's our proposal. Oh, is it our proposal? Okay, so I'm asking our proposal. We want to set up bioeconomy research team as a result of this conference. The people in this room are saying, yes, we want.
Yes, as I told you, this is at the heart of, I told you this topic is at the heart of my body. And as you have said, I've worked for a few years in research for development. And getting now to my age, I believe that we don't have choices that to change the gear and to change the way we have been using our resources. And this is also the same thinking that is coming out at IITA. I think the new management, the new leadership of IITA has been pushing us to say, what do we do on the area of bioeconomy? So if this type of thinking already is also occurring among you, I will be there probably to advise you, but I'm sure the whole IT system will be, I think it will be happy to be part of this type of new research agenda.
Again, let's appreciate that. Thank you very much for accepting a proposal. You know, as a young man, you're always afraid to make a proposal to a young lady because you are not sure whether she will say yes or no. But the day she says yes, you are excited. So we are excited today. Yes, the second question will come from the audience. I don't want to monopolize this. Would you like to ask a question, please? Sorry, I want a lady to ask a question, whether she likes it or yes. The reason is that she's the only lady that has flown from the US to attend this conference. And if you want to clap, clap. If you don't want to clap, don't clap. She's the only lady from the US. She's an African, but she's currently working at Michigan State University in the US. And she's here in this conference. She had trouble with the immigration yesterday, but you can discuss with her how was your trip, your first time in Nigeria and all that. Again, so she's also a mentee of one of the programs that is facilitated by Images Initiative. It's called Africa Graduate Mentorship and Coaching Program, AGMCP. She's a postdoc on the program. And I like Semina Ngozi. The first time I heard Ngozi, I say, Ngozi is a name in Nigeria, usually given to a lady, but I say, is that your surname or your first name? She will record that. I say, that's my surname. It's okay. All right, Ngozi. Dr. Ngozi, would you like to ask Emeritus Director any questions about your research, about your contribution to circular economy and what you can do together, or what you think the youth of the continent can do in this space, and how our Emeritus Director can assist, maybe facilitate? You have your microphone before you. Is it working? Yes, then you have to come here. If it's delaying, can you come here quickly? This is working. Or you share with your neighbor. Actually, circular economy is also about the economy of sharing. Yeah, so we talk about carpooling. You don't have to put many people in a car, too many cars on the road. You can use the train and you can use renewable energies and all that. Ngozi, over to you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Seven Ngozi. I am a lecturer at University of Dar es Salaam at the Department of Agricultural Economics and Business. So we are very close actually with IITA, which is based in Dar es Salaam. So I know Dr. Mayong as one of the supervisors of my friend.
Oh,
She's
great.
called Dr. Adela. Daktari. Do you know?
Yeah,
Okay, speak your Tanzanian
of course.
language. Yes.
Yes, so I'm very glad. I'm very glad actually to attend this conference. It's my first time to be in Nigeria, so I'm super excited to be here. So back to the question, actually, I'm very happy to hear that you're working with the waste management. So I have a question in terms of, the usage of the waste, in terms of fruits and vegetables, how sustainable the program is going to be, because with time, imagine maybe the waste, waste is going to be not enough. So how are you going to make the program sustainable in terms of the usage of the waste from vegetables and fruits? Thank you so much.
Ah, that's good. Okay, Emeritus Director, did you get that, please?
Yes, very well. I got it very well. Thank you, Dr. Ngozi. Thank you for mentioning Dr. Adela, who I will say is my baby postdoc student. She's the existing last postdoc student I supervised who graduated last year here in Tanzania. And she is now a big oga in the Ministry of Agriculture, directing the policies in the Ministry of Agriculture. So I'm very happy of that type of outcome in my itinerary. So now, coming specifically to your question, what we hope that there should not be bioproduct. If we don't have any bioproduct, vegetable byproduct in the future, I think I will just applaud first that we have changed our behavior. We can use all the agricultural byproduct. But I know from the nature of the product, the vegetable and the fruit we are eating, there will always be part of them which we discard. Look at when you just take the banana, you peel it, you eat the edible part. What do you do with the other one? You throw it away. When my country, we eat a lot of cassava leaves, but use just the cassava leaf on the top, and the remaining one, you do what? You will throw it away. There will always be some bioproduct that exist, but I did not discuss extensively the other cases where we use even just the loan in UR at Ibadan. The canteen of IT at Ibadan now is using biogas, and they produce this biogas by using just the lawn that they are cutting on the campus. And the leaves of the trees that are falling down, instead of pushing them somewhere, they process it and they produce biogas that is being used now as a source of energy in the IT canteen. That is also an example. If we don't have edible product, byproduct from edible product, there is still a lot of agricultural bioproduct waste in the nature that can be used. My colleague, Dr. Russo, is probably on the call, or other colleagues who are experts, agri economists. I think they have been saying that we will not run out of raw material for this project. And just to maybe come back a bit on the one comment made by Dr. Wale about why Nigeria was not included in this project. Yes, when you look for money, you put a number of countries, and then the donor will decide where they have their own priorities. When we're looking for funds, we of course included Nigeria, we included Tanzania, but at the beginning, the donor said, we want you to start first with those 4 countries. We hope that if we do very well, we can seek additional resources to expand to other important countries in the continent. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we're sure that Nigeria is one of those important countries. Yeah. Do we have any other questions from the crowd? Professor Lado, I would like you to ask a question. Will you mind, please? Maybe while you are thinking about it. Do we have anybody or somebody in the meeting room who would like to ask a question? Just raise your hand and we'll invite you, please. We have about 10 minutes to round off this session.
I have a question, Dr. Manyong. Yeah, this is Kathy.
Yes, Kathy, yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Victor, what do you foresee as like policy implications, you know, if we do continue doing biocircular economy research? Victor?
Thank you, Kathy. In this project, I did not present technically the work package of this project, but we have an important component related to the policies because we believe that policies is a key. It is not only the technical intervention that will make changes. You need to translate the output from the technical work into policy recommendation and do the policy advocacy in order to advancing. Let me just give you an example that will make you probably a bit cold about this initiative of our project. There are many countries that do not have any legislation, any regulation on how you can use the bio-waste product into livestock production or into vegetable production. You know, fertilizer, inorganic mineral fertilizer has been studied for many years. There are a lot of regulation for that. But when you go to this type of new innovation technologies, the policy is not still there. So what we are generating as part of this project is, first of all, to understand what are the existing policies in the different countries we are intervening, because we know that policies are very important. And then that will lead probably to a proposal on the norm, on the standard that will govern the utilization of this type of product into the different industries, animal industries, crop industries, and so on. So policy is very critical, and I'm sure that you have also in mind policy advocacy. Already we are making we are organizing many meetings with the policymakers at different level. First, we're starting at the municipality level. Here, really, they are feeling the problem because they are dealing with those issues. They are very, very receptive to what we are discussing with them. But moving upward until to the level of parliament and so on. So policy is extremely important in terms of generating technical knowledge to guide the development of standard, and policy is important because we need to translate the result of what we are doing into policy brief, policy recommendation, and organize the meeting with different level of policymakers. I don't know if I have answered your question, Kathy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. You can overemphasize the importance of policy and advocacy in this space. Professor Ladok, are you ready now? Or we can go. Okay, I would like to hear a male voice. It seems that we have ladies in the room. Yeah, Dr. Ajayi, you want to ask a question, please? You can use the microphone.
All right, thank you very much for the privilege to ask. Dr. Mayong, thank you for your presentation. We are very glad that you are leading us very well, at least for younger people coming up. We can have the trust to commit ourselves to the work of biocircularity. I notice around here that many people don't really embrace in our culture. I wouldn't know what I observe in some other cultures. We don't really see keeping plants as pets as something that is very, very important. We build our houses and then we tile everywhere, and then we cement everywhere. No living plants in our living room. So I don't know what is living in the living room. So, and I think it comes about responsible use. We are not really, that's also responsible with the use of things. So my question is how to strengthen the advocacy and then to really make young people embrace this right from their childhood and something that they can sustain till adulthood, not running after means of livelihood and then forget these basic things. So how do we strengthen the advocacy to become like a day-to-day thing? Like I have young people who play much with earth and natural things, it becomes part of them. But here we chase our children to live and go get inside while they are trying to play with dirt and play with soil and explore. So how can we strengthen it in such a way that parents, teachers, guardians, stakeholders can give more freedom to young people to embrace this? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ajayi, for your question. Yeah, I would probably address it in two dimensions. The first one is behavioral changes. It's that first of all, we adults, we parents, we need to make changes in the way we have been addressing all those problems, to give the examples to the youngest, and why we are recommending to them to make some changes also in the way they have been doing. As a father and grandfather, but mostly as a father, what I learned more about the school from my children is that sometimes my children were believing they are school teacher, what they have been taught there in some of the aspects than the parents. When they come and said, this is what they told us in the school. This is what they told, and they try to apply what they have been taught in the school. Usually the school teaches them very good things. It is not, it does not go against the parental education. But that's why in my last slide, I mentioned about school curriculum. We need a change of behavior. I think those are two dimensions of strategies that probably we can consider to induce those changes. Why do we have waste everywhere on the road? You know, starting with ourselves adults. You are in a downfall, you eat a banana, and then through the window you throw away the peels. Just you don't know where they are going to. So you are finished eating, that is not your problem anymore. So that is the type of behavior we are talking about. You are somewhere, you see a snake passing, running away from you, you follow it to kill it. Why it is running away from you? Why do you want to kill it? Because it has already, you have already escaped any danger. So some of the behavior that we have as adults, we need to make changes at our level so that we can give example to the youngest on how they can change as well. But school is a very important institution in an environment where we can model, we can create a lot of changes in our youngest. That is some of the strategy. I'm sure there are many other ways to deal with the issue that you have mentioned, but for this reply, this is what I will respond to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emeritus Director Victor Mayong, for a wonderful presentation. We have to close this session at this point. I want us to give him another round of applause to a grandpa, a man who has seen generations. Yeah. So we thank you. We have a token gift for you, being our keynote speaker for this 4th edition of Circularity Africa Conference. It will be passed through the IITA headquarters here to reach you later in the month. So thank you very much again for having you, sir. Our regards to the family and to the grandchildren. Okay, thank you very much. And next now we have Professor, my friend from Portugal is online, Professor Ramos Thomas. Thomas, are you there?